Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here on Sunday morning, March 24th. Now, I have a little bit of catching up to do on this channel. I'm going to be doing some videos later today and tomorrow talking about vaccine, big pharma news. I also want to get to talking about UFOs and space and a lot of technological breakthroughs that have been reported in the mainstream. Of course, they're not technological breakthroughs. This is stuff that's existed for a while. It's just they're trying to rush it into the mainstream now to make it look like they haven't been covering it up. So a lot I want to get to, like I said, in videos today and tomorrow. But as for this one here, I want to, of course, talk about the ending of Mueller's report. We'll discuss the latest Q and then a few other things as well. So to begin, a couple of things, and we'll get into talking about the ending of the Mueller report and what comes next. First of all, some censorship news. Like I said, I've been trying to track as much of the censorship of the citizen journalists or digital soldiers out there as much as I can. And we have a casualty from yesterday, Clandestine Rosenstein on Twitter. A good Twitter handle. About 23,000 followers, you can see, but Jack decided to suspend it, maybe because the Mueller report had ended and it disappointed quite a bit of the deep state and that side of the aisle, the Democrats. Maybe he went on a blocking spree, who knows, but Clandestine Rosenstein, he is gone. Unfortunately, account has been suspended. It's like every day. There's one or two new every single day, so hope I don't come next. And then one more thing, and we'll get to all I want to talk about here in this video. Shout out to a sponsor of this channel, NOBLEGOLD. They help you protect your investments with precious metals, but I like to have them on hand. I've actually been stocking up on some silver myself because very soon we could get back onto some sort of gold or precious metal backed currency, and I think that precious metals are going to become very popular in the next couple of years, so I've been stocking up. If you want to stock up yourself, you can find their links down below. But now getting into everything, let's discuss this Mueller report. So Mueller submits long-awaited Russia probe report to the Justice Department, and my God, how many people's heads are absolutely exploding. If you're on Twitter, you see it, and quite a bit of people who've been tweeting. It's like, and especially on CNN and NBC and all the talking heads on the mainstream media, they are absolutely, what, was Rachel Maddow crying? I believe she was caught crying. These guys on CNN, they don't even know what to say. They're like, we don't even care about what's in the Mueller report. We're going to find some other crimes. It's like people are literally cheering, trying to find their own president implicated in some sort of criminal act. It's absurd. It's disgusting. But, I mean, hey, this is something that it's plainly obvious to see. Russia, Russia, Russia. That horse is so dead, and they're still trying to beat it, and can't believe it. But anyway, Mueller submits that long-awaited report, and Attorney General Barr was going to send the principal conclusions of the report to Capitol Hill yesterday. A lot of people were waiting on it. At the last minute, it was delayed, and now Barr is conveying to his team that he still wants to get the conclusions to Capitol Hill by this weekend. So we are now in a very important time because since this Mueller report is officially ended, Mueller's saying there's no more indictments that are coming from it. And speaking of indictments, I saw on MSNBC last night, they were talking about sealed indictments in Washington, D.C. And all the talking heads were extremely confused because if they're not from Mueller, then who are they from? Of course, Anons know this. What's Horowitz up to? What's Huber up to? Who are these sealed indictments in D.C. actually for? You can take a very good guess at that. But we're in a very peculiar place now because they're trying to get ahead of the narrative before the deep state and their complicit legacy media are able to spin any narrative they can, which is exactly why Attorney General Barr made his letter to Congress public on Friday when the ending of Mueller's Russia probe was announced. And you can go read it. And in Attorney General Barr's letter, he explicitly stated that Mueller had free range to do whatever he needed to do. There was absolutely no obstruction by Trump or the Trump administration against Mueller. So this is why this was released, is because they are trying to shut up the mainstream media. They are trying to make this look as little of a political attack as possible. I'm already seeing a lot of these deep staters trying to throw Mueller under the bus or turn on him, or whatever the case, because they are, like I said, trying to spin whatever narrative they can. So since this Russia report is basically, this Russia probe is ending, they're trying to get ahead of the narrative, which is why Attorney General's principal conclusions have to come very soon, likely today or could be tomorrow, but hopefully today as soon as possible. So all of that going on, Donald Trump and Q were both pretty quiet for the first day. We didn't hear really anything on Friday or Saturday from Donald Trump. He finally tweeted this morning, sending out a couple of tweets. Make America great again. Good morning. Have a great day. This leads me to believe that we will hear of Attorney General Barr's conclusions today, with Trump saying have a great day, sort of foreshadowing that. I'm sure he's having a great day. And it's also funny watching a lot of these talking heads, Twitter pundits, mainstream media pundits on the television. They were all super confused. They're like, why isn't Donald Trump tweeting? Seen a lot of them say that. But Trump set up 2 tweets this morning, and then we got a few posts from Q over the weekend, late evening on the 22nd, talking about the blockade, and then a few other things that we'll go through here. So let's go ahead and do that. Q referencing basically another Q proof right here, saying blockade removed in the first post we'll go through. And this particular one talks about the subpoenaing of Robert Mueller. Live breaking news tweeted on Friday that Adam Schiff saying the panel is willing to subpoena Robert Mueller. And Q let us know that about a month and a half ago in a drop. You might be able to see it. Let me zoom in here. In a drop from the 9th of February, House D's threatened subpoena of Barr, Whitaker, and subpoena power as much as they can. So already, Q proof right there. Boom, next dropped. Sanctions are lifted, Anons no. Also in regards to that Q proof. And Anon here saying we knew, Q referencing that. And then Q saying at what point is it mathematically impossible? We already know this by now. It is 100% true that Q is linked to the Trump administration, the highest levels there. Power is being returned to the people. The rule of law is being returned. Where we go one, we go all. DECLAS is a-coming, the Anon says. Q linked that, letting us know that yes, now that Russia probe done, we're going to move along right through declassification, right through Inspector General report. We'll talk more about that in a sec. And then justice. Next drop here, 3165. They thought it was coming last Friday, ammunition spent. And what this means is that they, meaning the deep state, thought that the ending of the Russia probe was going to be done a week ago. And since they thought it was going to be done a week ago, they used their ammunition, i.e. they utilized that false flag in New Zealand, the Christchurch shooting, to try to shift the narrative, distract people. But of course, disinformation is necessary, right? The ending of the Russia probe was never supposed to happen last Friday. That's what Q basically inferred when they posted their picture of that watch. The watch was pointed to 3:15, March 15th. Deep State thought it was going to be 3:15 that the Russia probe ended, but no. Q got him, and Q caused the Deep State to utilize their ammo, utilize that false flag, spend it, and boom, came out a week later. So there we go. Next drop, Q linking a tweet from Lisa May. And this tweet is, let's take a look at it here. On Fox News, Devin Nunes saying it's the unraveling of the biggest political scandal in history. This Russia probe, all the FISA abuses, etc., etc. This began nothing more, nothing less than a Clinton-Obama operation with a bunch of dirty cops at the FBI and career Justice Department officials that were all a part of it. So, big news coming out of Fox News. And then also on Fox News, in my last video, I reported on Fox and Friends showing the tweet from the QAnon76 Twitter handle. Weren't talking about Q. They were talking about free speech on college campuses. Didn't even mention Q, but they showed that tweet. They showed that Twitter handle. Obviously, massive proof right there. And then the mainstream media went right into attacking, discrediting. Fox News reporter quotes tweet from QAnon-related account on air. Newsweek wrote that. Q saying the simple fact that this made the news, multiple articles, wasn't just Newsweek, it was, that newswire gets sent out at 4 a.m. via secure drop or whatever the case. That newswire gets sent out, then all of the Mockingbird media outlets get their talking points. That's why you see 20, 30, 40 articles on a Google search the exact same day within a couple hours about the exact same thing through all these media outlets. Anyway, Q saying the simple fact that this made the news, multiple articles, should tell you all you need to know. Number 2 regarding attacked. Q is pretty much the number 2 attacked entity, we could call it, in the mainstream media. Trump, of course, being number 1. Post-tracking sites now censoring / adjusting visitor counts, ? Panic. So this could possibly be in reference to qmap.pub here, because the counter on qmap.pub that they used to have up here, it was getting all weird. It was showing like 400, 500, 600,000 were on the websites, and some people were doing some research onto that, and they found some maybe bugs or some errors that were done with that counter. So the creator of qmap.pub went onto 8chan, actually posted the possible reasons why that counter might have been off, and then they proceeded to take down the counter on qmap.pub because the owner said that they didn't want to, mess with or confuse anybody or whatever the case. So Q basically saying, are they censoring it, adjusting it? qmap.pub saying, no, we're not censoring or adjusting it. It's just some weird things going on with it. But regardless, mainstream media at least doing all they can to attack Q. Next drop, 3168. We're getting into yesterday, early yesterday morning, about 2:30 West Coast time at least. And Q saying their only defense is to play, quote, dumb, shocked and surprised, to avoid, quote, collusion claims. Nobody walks away from this. And this is in reference to all those talking heads in the mainstream media, like Rachel Maddow there crying. You got Jim Acosta. You got Chris Matthews. They're all playing dumb as if they didn't know for the last 2 years this Russia probe was nonsense. So they're playing dumb to avoid collusion claims. Yeah. That's not even plausible deniability. It's not even plausible. It's obvious deniability with them. Next drop, 3169. You are witnessing the collapse of the largest pre-planned and coordinated propaganda event in modern day history. Projection 101. Projection meaning that all this Russia stuff that they were trying to point at Trump and family is really Hillary and company. Easy projection to see. Didn't Hillary take some $100+ million from the Russians for Uranium One? Yeah, that's coming to light. Next drop, getting into yesterday afternoon now, 4:43. Q linking us a tweet from The Independent. Let's take a look at that first. 1 million protesters join historic march for second referendum, telling the politicians in Britain there, give the decision back to the people. 1 million protesters. I'm actually fairly surprised that the independent mainstream media admitted that the protest was this large. Usually they'll say, oh, it's just a few thousand people, 10,000, 20,000, when it's a lot more than that. They actually said 1 million protesters. And you can't really deny that that many people are there when you look at the pictures of this. Like, holy crap, a lot of people. Q saying, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Democracy matters, the will of the people, united, not divided. Mayday in reference to possibly May 1st. What might we see there? Usually the deep state tries to, let's see, what do we want to call it here? Initiate some sort of uprising on May Day. There's always protests or, things that look very planned on May Day. So I wonder if we're going to see some stuff happen on May 1st there. But anyway, will of the people, where we go and we go all. This is worldwide. Like I've been tracking, we've got protests in France that are still going on, yellow vest protests that look like there's some violent agent provocateurs embedded into these yellow vest protests to make it look bad, you know, spread this violence, then the mainstream media can attack the yellow vests. So we got uprising in France, uprising in Spain, uprising in Britain here. It's incredible. It's incredible, incredible. And then Q posting some memes. This first one, Democrats haven't been this mad at Republicans since we freed their slaves. Q saying meme misspelled, but it drives the point across. And this one, my turn. Trump there. Next drop, calm before the storm. What happens when a blockade threat is dismantled and removed? Meaning the Russia probe. What happens when the blockade's removed? Boom, time to go. You'll find out, Q says in quotes. And you'll find out is a reference to October. It was either October 6th or 7th. I always mess up the particular day, but it was when Trump made the calm before the storm statement in the White House 3 weeks before Q started posting. He said, you know what this is? The calm before the storm. He had 20 military generals around him. Mainstream media goes, what do you mean? Storm, what do you mean? Trump goes, you'll find out. That's what that means. We're going to find out what happens next now that the blockade is removed. Children used as shields, manufactured crimes of perjury. They were trying to manufacture crimes against Donald Trump's children. Concoct anything they can to delay the inevitable. Fire at will, Commander, Q says. An Anon post here, you may start your attack run. Copy that, rogue leader. The Rebel Alliance is trying to combat the Galactic Empire now, right? And I think soon we'll see that Death Star. Most definitely. Q posting the meme with that misspelling corrected. Why are they attempting to rewrite history? The deep state. They've done that for not just hundreds of years, but thousands of years. This goes back a long time, folks. D-Party Con. You can run, but you can't hide. A lot of corruption is unraveling. A lot of corruption. This Great Awakening stems far beyond just FISA, just the Russia probe. You know, it goes into really dark stuff with trafficking, human sacrifice, these cults, these elite cults. It goes even into the technology. You know, I like to talk about a lot of things that a lot of other people don't talk about so much. You know, I love talking about Q and the political corruption we're seeing exposed, but there's a lot of people out there already doing that. You know, I like to find the things that aren't so talked about, or the paths that aren't as walked upon as others, and go there. So, I mean, the corruption we're seeing exposed now extends, of course, into big pharma and into the technology and the black projects, so much, but so much. It's very good to see. So that's all with Q that I wanted to touch on, and the Mueller probe. A couple last things here. Washington Post, you know, they're trying to spin any narrative they can to continue their bullshit. Let's just put it that way. Trump's legal troubles are far from over, even as Mueller probe ends. Really? What, for 2 years? Right here, they wrote for 22 months, basically almost 2 years. Pretty much every single day there was some talking head or some Washington Post article saying that, yeah, Donald Trump's end is soon. He's going to get impeached and indicted soon, blah, 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 blah. Didn't happen. Now they're saying Trump's legal troubles are far from over. Yeah, no, nonsense. Breaking news live on Twitter. The chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee wants to investigate Hillary Clinton for the dossier. The Senate was the target, right? Senate has a lot more power than the House. When I hear the Senate Judiciary Committee talk about something, I'm going to listen much more so than anything from the House. And what we're going to see next, of course, that dossier. DECLAS. Russia probe end. Now we're going to see declassification of FISA and an OIG report. Washington Examiner here. This was last Thursday. They actually reported on this. This was before the Russia probe ended. You might have missed this one. I just found it earlier today. Department of Justice Inspector General, that is Horowitz, confirms year-long investigation into FISA abuse is still active. He was at a event, basically a panel discussion in Washington, D.C., and Horowitz divulged his biggest projects, and he mentioned the FISA-related review. Now, again, this was the day before it was announced that the Russia probe was ending. So there's still, it's coming. You know, the snowball is now rolling downhill. And like I was mentioning earlier, they have to really work against time. They're trying to work against any sort of narratives that the mainstream media can concoct. So we're going to quickly go from Russia probe ending, then into FISA declassification, then we'll get the Inspector General report. So moving right along here, I would, you know, of course, we don't know days. We don't know dates, deadlines, anything like that. Q's not going to give their plans to the enemy, are they? But we can make educated guesses here. I wouldn't doubt if we saw FISA declassification April. You know, we could probably pin it as to sometime within April. Then maybe we get the OIG report in May. And then the latter half of 2019 is when we get the justice phase. And then that, of course, sets up 2020 presidential election to just be an absolute landslide. Basically a gimme. Because with deep state getting exposed, these high-level perps getting put behind bars, the Great Awakening, you know, and the Q gets asked. Let's not throw that out of the bunch. The Q getting basically confirmed, the question getting asked to the president. Is that going to happen April, May? You know, sometime around maybe FISA DECLAS or OIG report or that justice phase, mass arrest, you know. That Q getting asked in 2019. Maybe even within the next few months, but this year for sure. So 2020 is going to be a landslide, going to be a gimme. 2019 is going to be great. 2020 is even going to be better. And then imagine the second term of Donald Trump. If the first term of Trump gives us Q, gives us, I mean, really FISA declass and justice. If we get all this in President Trump's first term, imagine what the second term is going to bring. The second term is going to be, I mean, Great Awakening in full bore. Really, it's going to be a lot of people coming to terms with a lot of stuff. And then we really get to work. We get to work shifting our whole paradigm, folks. You know, a lot of these technologies begin to get disclosed. And we just redo the paradigms, redo the control systems, make them into ones that actually benefit and serve us and don't misinform us instead of what they do now. So anyway, we can talk about that for a long, long time. That's really all I wanted to share with you guys today. One last little article here, just on the Washington Post, trying to pin all the blame on 8chan, as they're trying to do. This came out Friday, just before the weekend. 8chan looks like a terrorist recruiting site after the New Zealand shootings. Not really. I mean, not at least in the boards I frequent on 8chan. I'm always in the Q research boards and researching. No, they don't look like terrorist recruiting sites at all. So the Washington Post is simply trying to, I mean, this is a long article. This is a long, long article. Shows their desperation, really. But they're trying to get 8chan banned. I mean, they're calling for its ban multiple times in this article. And calling for all of the social media networks, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, others, to censor, combat, of course, what they're trying to call misinformation, extremism, hate speech, etc. Nonsense coming from the WAPO. It's all trying to attack Q, attack where the honest media, the independent media is. They're trying to cut off that line so their own narratives can get run easier, but not going to happen. So that's all for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, following along. I'll be back later today with a lot more content, a lot more stuff. So take care, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a good Sunday. Bye.